Yo, what's up, guys? We're back for another week of predictions, and this week it's UFC Boise, and a pretty good card actually. I was actually surprised that this was a fight night card. I'm pleasantly surprised. Pretty decent card, and we're coming off of an international fight week, and the streak was finally broken, guys. We lost the 7-week in a row parlay streak in pretty bad fashion. All four guys that I picked were wrong, but at 226 we didn't do too bad. We got hit quite a few of the underdogs like DC, Derek Lewis, Emily Whitmire. Some decent underdog plays there that we hit, and we're just gonna be moving onward and upward. But I don't have a ton of time today to do this video, so I'm gonna just go right into it. I'm not gonna do a review of that one. And for the first fight of the night, it's a rescheduled fight that I actually had my eyes on before for a potential bet because, I kind of like Jody Esquibel in this fight. This fight was supposed to be in New York at UFC 225, I believe, and it was called off for a very odd reason with, Jessica Aguilar had chapped lips, so, hopefully she bought some chapstick. I don't really know, but, Jessica Aguilar is a high-octane fighter. She has no problem getting in a brawl. Starts very fast. She tries to get right in your face. Uses a lot of fakes and feints, but she doesn't have great defense on the feet, and she doesn't move her head. She's a bit stiff with her movement, especially her punching combinations. She has nice low leg kicks, and that's probably her best technique on the feet. She'll go to the body with punches, then back up to the head. She's slow and can get pot shotted, out volumed. She has a good chin, good heart. She'll take shots to give her own. She had a decent fight against Claudia Gadelha a couple years ago. She was doing her best work in round 3. Took a ton of damage in the first 2 rounds, was able to kind of persevere. That's kind of her calling card. She's a very tough girl, could take a lot of damage. She was able to take Courtney Casey down multiple times, but couldn't establish top position due to being up-kicked. She's fought a lot of high-level competition. She has some of the most experience in WMMA history. And she's going to be returning from a year layoff. She's been inactive of late in her career. She is very tough and durable, like I said, and only been finished one time in her career. And her very first fight, that was the fight that she got finished in, and it was by submission. So she hasn't been finished at the very first fight of her career. She's going to be fighting Keith Jardine's fiance, Jody Esquibel. I always used to love watching Keith Jardine, so it's cool seeing him in the corner and stuff. And Esquibel lost her first UFC fight to Karolina Kowalkiewicz, but that's a hard fight for anyone, much less your UFC debut. And she's been eyeing this matchup for a while now. She volunteered to step up in March when Lavinia Souza pulled out against Jessica Aguilar, and wanted to fight then. She's been calling for it even before then, and now she's finally getting it, so she's getting a good matchup in her opinion. She's not a bad fighter. She's quick and athletic, has good range control, darts in and out, good body head with her punches, good lead left hand, will throw a nice jab, left hook. She has good fakes and feints, disguises her entries well. She'll throw hooks to the body, go back up to the head. Nice overhand right. She'll throw some leg kicks and front kicks to the body, but she's not a big kicker. She has good footwork, does a good job staying in the center, not getting backed up against the cage. She looks powerful, short and compact, looks like she is hard to take down. She does a solid job catching kicks, stopping you. She doesn't go for much offensive wrestling herself. She won't quit even when she's in deep submission. She was able to get out of a fully extended armbar against Deanna Bennett. She will be the much faster, more explosive fighter in the cage. Jessica Aguilar is a pioneer, a warrior, but I think her time has passed by in MMA. She's kind of a throwback to the Stone Ages, and Jody Esquibel will avoid the takedowns, win a striking decision. She's just a much quicker, much better athlete in there, and I think that Jessica Aguilar is, kind of at the end of her rope, man. 37 years old, haven't fought for, a long time, probably well over 10 years fighting MMA, and, she's had a fantastic career. She's beaten a lot of great fighters, I think she has 2 wins over Angela Magana back in the day when Magana was good. She has a win over Carla Esparza, Megumi Fuji multiple times. She has some big-time wins, but, hasn't gotten a victory since 2014. And I just think it's maybe time for her to, think about hanging him up, think about retiring. And, up next we have Mark De La Rosa versus Elias Garcia. And, this is a pretty decent fight. Mark De La Rosa already had a fight in the UFC against Tim Elliott where he got submitted, but I actually liked his tape. I thought he was pretty good. He actually has some pretty good boxing, a good ground game. Team trains out there with the scrap pack, kind of a similar style, likes to get in, box, very technical boxing, and then, has that jiu-jitsu to get finishes as well. And he's a pretty good fighter, man. I think that He's well-rounded. He has some good skills. Did seem like he got tired against Tim Elliott in their fight, but took that fight on short notice, and he was piecing up Tim Elliott for a little bit there, so definitely think he has potential. He's only 23 years old, and, he's going to be fighting against Elias Garcia. This is going to be Elias' first fight in the UFC, and he's 4-0. He's training out of Rufus Sports, so definitely training out of a good camp. And he just had a win over Adam Antolin, who's, I think he fought in the UFC. If he didn't fight in the UFC, he fought on Tough. And he had a win on Dana White Contender Series as well. So Adam Antolin's a guy that's, been knocking on the door for the UFC. But I don't know if he ever got an official UFC fight. But, he knocked him out in about a minute, which was a very, very impressive performance, especially after, only having 3 fights. So he's also has some decent striking, but I don't think his ground game is quite as strong. Especially not as strong as Mark De La Rosa's. And I think Mark De La Rosa just has some cleaner boxing. Elias has some decent hands, but he doesn't put his combinations together as well. And I'm going to go with Mark De La Rosa to get a submission in that one in round 2. And up next we have Raoni Barcelos against Kurt Holoba. And, this is a sleeper fight on the card, man. I don't know if a lot of people are going to, know these guys or know much about them, but really fun fight, Raoni Barcelos, I was very excited watching his tape. I've seen him fight before, so excited to see him get this opportunity. I actually seen him, fight for RFA. And he's a great fighter. He's very athletic, good striking game, has a black belt in jiu-jitsu, good hands, very fast hand speed, throws nice straight punches, good overhands, nice kicks, nice knee to the head, nice hard leg kicks. He has power in his punches, does a good job of catching people coming in with counter shots. Has a similar striking style to Johnny Eduardo, in my opinion. Very fast, straight right hand. Does a great job of reading you, seeing when you're going to come in, timing you with the counter. Good takedowns, hard ground and pound. He only has 1 sub. Isn't a big submission guy. He's beaten some good fighters, Ricky Musgrave, Bobby Moffitt, Dan Moret, who's recently fought in the UFC. He has good takedown defense. He's hard to get in on his legs. He hasn't fought in a while. He hasn't fought since October 2016. He has great cardio. He can go for all 3 rounds. Has a very good chin. And, he's just not someone that wants to bang, man. He's going to be using his movement, staying on the outside, trying to time those counters. He has great, does a great job of reading you. He'll just see what you're wanting to do, and then just boom, he's like a sniper, times you and knocks you out. And Kurt Holoba, he's a big-time prospect as well, man. This is a big-time fight. He's a former Titan featherweight world champion. He got a big-time KO in Dana White Contender Series. He was given a contract, and unfortunately, he took an IV after the weigh-in, and it was a no contest, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And for Kurt Holoba, he's well-rounded as well. It's very powerful, pretty good takedowns, but I think Ronnie's better on the feet. To be honest, I think Kurt Holoba has a lot of power, pretty technical, but he loads up sometimes, isn't quite as fast or as clean. And, doesn't have the creativity that Ronnie has with the striking. And, I think Kurt Holoba is going to want to try to take this fight to the ground. But I think it's going to be very hard, man. Raoni Barcelos looks like he's the real deal. I really, think that he's going to be good. And I think Kurt Holoba is going to be really good, too. And Kurt Holoba could easily win this fight. I think it's very close. But I'm actually going to go with Raoni Barcelos. I think he's going to come off his layoff and, beat one of the better prospects in MMA right now. And I think that, he's going to announce himself as, maybe a potential problem in that division. And up next we have Liz Carmouche against Jennifer Maia. And this is a fun fight, man. I'm excited to see Jennifer Maia get into the UFC. When you look at all the rankings, like Fight Matrix Tapology for 125, she's in the top 5. So, potentially getting a very high-level fighter here coming in. She's the Invicta champion right now. And she defended her belt 2 times. She fought very good competition. She holds wins over Jessica Andrade, Vanessa Porto, Roxanne Montefiore, Aga Najwitz. I don't know how to say that name, but Aga's really good. She's from Poland. And she's fighting out at Shootbox, Vanderlei Silva's old camp. But she has that same aggressive striking style, good ground game, very clean boxing. Throws a nice long jab, nice straight right, overhand right. She's a former professional boxer. Good movement, does a good job circling, not backing straight up, coming in on different angles. She has solid power in her hands, but really overwhelms people with volume. She actually has some pretty good, head movement where she tries to get inside with that Mike Tyson type head movement and land hooks. She has gotten tagged and hurt in some of her fights because she likes to brawl. She has some losses early in her career, but they were at 135, and she's actually a smaller 125er. She has a solid chin. Her one loss by KO was kind of BS. She was fighting against Sheila Gaff, who fought in the UFC, and Sheila Gaff went to go glove touch in the middle, and they both, did the sign to touch. And when she went to glove touch her, Sheila Gaff loaded with a flurry and knocked her out in about 10 seconds. So it's kind of fugazi a little bit. But she has a nice front kick to the body, but she isn't a big kicker. Does a great job getting double on her hooks, controlling her opponents against the cage. She's strong, can land knees, bank around that way. She has good takedown defense and doesn't shoot very much herself, but not bad on the ground. On top, she's aggressive, heavy ground and pound punches, but off bottom, she can get stuck on the ground. She has great cardio, usually starts slow, takes over in rounds 4 and 5. She should be able to push hard from the start, keep a high pace since this is only a 3-rounder. And she's someone who could instantly become a contender, especially in a shallow division like flyweight. And Liz Carmouche is a very strong and physical fighter. She isn't the greatest striker. She uses a lot of unset up leg kicks from the outside, occasional body kick. She's aggressive. She'll close the distance with right hands. Really tries to get the fight to the ground. Has good top control, but not big ground and pound. She's weak with her jiu-jitsu. She can get caught in submissions. She's also bad off of her back. And, Carmouche is really just her whole game plan is just try to bully her opponents, use her physicality to try to get inside, take them down, hold them down. And, I don't know if she's going to be able to do that in this fight. It's possible. She's been able to do it to some pretty good fighters like Caitlin Chukagian, but then you see her limitations, man. When she fights someone like Alexis Davis who wants to hang on the outside, it just becomes a very boring fight. And, she doesn't have that ground game that's very dangerous. She only has a ground game to hold you down. And I think Jennifer Maia is just more dangerous on the ground, on the stand-up. I think that now she's in a 3-round fight. And she's fighting a girl that I think is worse than the last girl that she fought in Aga and worse than Roxanne as well. So, I think she's getting an easier matchup here. And I'm going to go with Jennifer Maia to get a win by decision in her UFC debut. And up next we have Randy Brown to fight against Nico Price. And this is a banger, man. This is a great and close fight. Randy Brown's a pretty impressive prospect. He's super long for the division, uses his reach well with the tricky kickboxing style. He likes to walk people down, keep a long jab in their face while looking for straight rights and right hooks. He has a good hand speed and is getting better at putting combinations together with his hands. He has great knees and kicks. He'll throw nice inside-outside leg kicks, good head kicks and front kicks to the body. Very nice knee to the head that's pretty tricky. When you let him start walking you down and getting his range and confidence going, he's tough to beat. He's athletic and long. He can keep a high volume of strikes on you. He doesn't do as well fighting off his back foot. You can get caught against the cage, get double-legged. Stands a bit high in his stance. He does have good takedown defense, though, actually. He does a great job of having heavy hips, using nice double underhooks to defend the takedown. He has decent knees and elbows in the clinch. He has good body lock takedowns. And on top, he has great top control. He prefers to keep position over submission. He has good ground and pound. He'll stand over you and throw nice long punches in your guard. Or he'll land nice hard elbows. He cut Mickey Gall with an elbow in his last fight. He has nice chokes. He'll attack them if you go for takedown attempts on him too. Off his back, he'll attack with pretty good triangle or armbar, but he's too complacent on the ground and doesn't have great get-ups. He has good cardio and a solid chin. He's a tough guy and hard to submit. He's only been finished one time in his career, and it was by submission. His 2 losses have come against people with wrestling-heavy game plans. Nico Price has the ability to do that, so it's an interesting matchup. Randy Brown should have the striking advantage, especially at range, but the aggressiveness and power of Price on the feet can't be overlooked. And Nico Price has been more measured in his last 2 fights, though. And he's athletic, has big KO power, fast hand speed, has a nice jab, nice straight right hand. He has hard leg kicks, a nice high kick. He has big power in his right hand. He'll get in your face, really put the pressure on you if he sees you feel his shots, especially. And he's a finisher. Price has been to 1 decision in his career, and his lone loss was via submission. He's a solid wrestler and will back you up, go for the double against the cage, chain together takedown attempts like a single or a body lock. Nice ground and pound, and is active looking for submissions off of his back. He's active looking for submissions on top too, but he can lose rounds off of his back by looking for submissions if he doesn't get them. Price has good cardio. He comes to fight. He'll never break in there. Hard to finish. And, his aggression is just something to see, man. He really goes in there with those punches, tries to land that hard straight right hand. Definitely has big KO power. You saw him KO Alan Juban with it, very clean. And, he has good cardio, comes to fight. He'll never break, like I said. Very close fight. Hard for me to make a decision on. If I had to guess, Price would be the more urgent one in a close decision. More likely to get a potential finish as well. So I'm going to go with Nico Price by split decision in that one. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think Randy Brown's going to control the range for large portions of the rounds, but I think Nico Price is going to get in on the legs, get takedowns, and maybe land the more harder, significant shots that people remember. And due to that, I'm going to say he wins a split decision there in that fight. And up next, we have a very fun fight, man. This could be a potential fireworks. I mean, Justin Scoggins, when he comes to fight, is one of the best flyweights in the world, man. And Said Nurmagomedov, he's coming into the UFC. He's fighting out of that Akhmat fight team in Russia, so you know it's a kind of a different way of life over there. And he's Khabib's cousin. He's going to be making his UFC debut, and kind of reminds me of Zabit. He has a good grappler, but I would actually say he's a weaker wrestler than a striker. He has great kicks, solid punches, throws a ton of variety in his striking. He can get very wild with techniques. He'll throw a lot of kicks, comes in with nice punching combos, throw nice jumping spin kicks, wheel kicks, cartwheel kicks. Very dynamic guy. Throw nasty combinations like a right hook to a high kick to a spinning back fist. He throws very nice question mark kicks, strong takedowns. And you could slam people in the clinch. You could take people down with nice body locks as well. Very nasty knees in the clinch. Dive on guillotines, which Scoggins is very susceptible to. He has very strong legs. He can reverse position very well. Does a good job of kicking off, creating scrambles. He's a solid armbar, but he really likes the striking in space the most. On top, he doesn't have huge ground and pound. I wouldn't say his sub game is super dangerous. He doesn't have big KO power and mostly wins his fight via dominant decisions. He's a small guy at 125, so he has great cardio, can go for all 3 rounds. He's most successful in space on the feet, but so is Scoggins. This is a very high-level fight. Scoggins has always shown elite skill level, but maybe shown poor fight IQ, losing fights. He should never have lost after dominating them. He has elite movement, some of the best movement in MMA on his best day. He's a karate practitioner. He uses a lot of front kicks, spinning attacks as well as blitzing with flurry of punches. He's very similar to Wonder Boy in his striking. They've trained together for years in South Carolina, but I'd say he's even more aggressive and obviously a better wrestler than Wonder Boy. And Scoggins has a very nice jab, good left hand, good right hook as well. He has nice leg kicks. He'll go high with round kicks, question mark kicks. A lot of front side kicks to the legs, to the body. And tries, to use that to set up his nasty spinning back kick to the body because it helps disguise the shifting of his hips. And Scoggins is good from both stances. He can strike going backwards or moving forwards. He's never standing right in front of you, always changing up his movements and entries. He has phenomenal takedown defense, extremely hard to hold down if you do take him down. He's strong in the clinch. He'll get the body locks, land big slams, very, very, strong in the clinch. On top, he's very good. He has great top control, floats very well, keep a top position, lands hard ground and pound. And he showed how elite he could be when he put it all together and dominated Ray Borg. Stuffed all his takedowns, just outclassed him on the feet. And he's shown the flip side of that recently. He'll be dominating the fight, only go for a takedown, get guillotined and choked out. He lost his last fight to Sasaki by guillotine after dropping him with a spinning back kick. Also lost to Milos Moraga by guillotines in fights he was winning. He has weight cut issues in the past, and he's pretty big for 125. He does have good cardio and overall elite skills, just his IQ is questionable. And we've seen him grow up before our eyes, join the UFC at 21 years old. He's 26 now, taking a year off, try to figure out things, refocus, rededicate to MMA, saying all the right things. And if he comes as the best Justin Scoggins, he can beat anyone in my opinion. And I'm going to go with Justin Scoggins one last time here to win via decision. I think he'll be a bit more polished than Nurmagomedov, just a bit better at banking rounds, and he'll win via decision. This is Scoggins' last chance to stay in the UFC and stay relevant. I think he understands the importance of the situation. He's just too talented to lose 3 straight and get cut, and I really don't want to see that, so I'm going to say Justin Scoggins gets the win here, but very, very close fight, and both guys are elite level fighters for sure. I think both guys could, on their best day, beat top 10 guys, so very fun fight. And up next we have Darren Elkins versus Alexander Volkanovski. And, talk about top 10 guys here, 2 top 10 guys for you at 145. Amazing fight. Volkanovski's 17-1, 14-fight win streak. Darren Elkins has won 6 straight UFC fights, big featherweight. And Volkanovski's a smaller featherweight, so that's something maybe to watch. Volkanovski's 4 inches shorter, but he has the same reach. He's a speedier, more explosive fighter. Should have the power advantage in this one as well. Both these guys are similar fighters. They want to keep a high volume on you, get you to the ground. Volkanovski does a great job dictating the range and where the fight's going to be at. Keeps a very close distance, tries to back his opponents against the cage. Working to clinch, then go for the takedown. Strong takedowns, gets about 5 per fight. On top, he can land hard, devastating ground and pound. That's where he gets a lot of his finishes. He's your prototypical grinder, but does seem to have more raw power to find his finish than Elkins does. He has great cardio, and that's something you'll need in this fight. If he starts to get tired, Elkins is the master of exploiting that. He's won 13 fights in a row. He's 4-0 in the UFC, and with the win here from either guy, they're looking at a top 5 opponent most likely. He dominated another fellow grinder in his last fight in Jeremy Kennedy very impressively. Just completely destroyed him in the wrestling. Just made him look like he was a weight class below him. He was so much stronger than him. And Darren Elkins has won 6 in a row. Looked incredible since moving to Team Alpha Male. The ultimate dog. No matter what you do to this guy, if you don't put him out, he's going to keep coming. He just beat 2 top 10 guys in Dennis Bermudez and Michael Johnson. He's a wrestler who's opportunistic with his striking. He's slow on the feet. Elkins has a nice straight right hand, though. But he really just wants to get a hold of you. He doesn't have good shots. But he gets a hold of you and body locks you, just gets attached to you, makes it ugly, gets you down and controls you. He can get desperate with takedown attempts at times if you start piecing him up and shoot from way too far out. He had an epic comeback against Mirsad Bektic. It proved how mentally strong he is. He has phenomenal cardio, amazing chin. And guys just get tired beating on him. And, he had an epic comeback against Mirsad Bektic. And he usually loses round 1 before rallying for the win. And this guy has so many wins as an underdog in the UFC, it's hard to bet against the guy. He always seems to make you pay for it. With that being said, I think Volkanovski has the wrestling to keep the fight standing. Just a faster, cleaner striker. I think he should not engage in the wrestling or clinch with Elkins much in this fight. He has significant speed advantage at range. And this is a smaller man, so I think it's smarter for him to try to fight from the outside, maybe seal rounds with takedowns in the final seconds. If he comes out trying to grapple heavy with Elkins, he could gas himself out. But the pick is Volkanovski by decision, and I'm pretty confident in that pick, even though Darren Elkins is a guy that always seems to surprise people. I think Volkanovski's just very similar, but just a level above. And up next, you have Eddie Wineland against Alejandro Perez. And this is a great fight, man. Alejandro Perez has been on a roll lately, while Eddie Wineland kind of seems like he's, maybe out of the game a little bit. He hasn't fought in a year. He's been fighting basically once a year. But Alejandro Perez is looking the best he's ever had. He's won 3 in a row. He's 6-0-1 in his last 7. Perez is a counter striker with some wrestling. He's light on his feet. He uses solid movement and footwork to stay in range and to counter. But he has solid defense as well. He has great fakes and feints. He'll freeze you, and he'll be able to find his shots. He's very accurate with his right hand. He likes to slip and rip in the pocket with his right hand. He'll throw hard leg kicks inside and outside. Really beats up that front leg. He can also get his own leg kicked a lot. He's a counter striker. He'll move and wait, try to draw you into a counter. He likes to fight at a slow pace, lulls guys to sleep, and able to win these close decisions. He looks super sharp in his last fight. He has great movement and crisp, clean punches. He was throwing more in combination, where in other fights he would largely be one and done. He has fast hands in the pocket, no problem being in a firefight. He can get caught with punches against the fence, but he has a great chin. He's a Mexican warrior, able to recover, come back. He had a rough round 1 against Andrei Sukoptath. He was able to get the TKO in round 2, though. Or what am I thinking? I don't remember. He wasn't able to get the TKO. He came back and just won the fight by decision. And Perez throws a nice knee to the head when you come inside. He's a very solid grappler. He has nasty knees in the clinch. He can hurt you with them. He'll swarm when he hurts you. He had a fantastic finish against Matthew Lopez. That's what I was thinking. He lost the first round pretty badly to Matthew Lopez, then came back and got the finish in the second round. He has good takedown defense, good takedowns himself. If you do take him down, he does a great job getting back up quickly. He has good jiu-jitsu. He's able to survive Lopez on his back in round 1. Stays calm, has solid scrambles. He has a good chin, but has solid overall movement and defense. Doesn't get hit much. He has great cardio, gets stronger as the fight goes. For Eddie Wineland, he's an old vet, a former WEC champion. He's purely a boxer, really. He doesn't throw kicks much or go for the clinch or takedowns. He uses very untraditional movement, doing a lot of jump stepping, explosive herky-jerky movement. Likes to keep his hands low, and that movement makes him very hard to hit. Likes to explode in with range shots. He has a very nice uppercut, nice hooks, long straight punches. Does a great job landing and cutting angles, so it's hard to time his exits. Uses fakes and feints to draw you out very well. He has a really nice 1-2, tries to make you pay for closing the distance with it. When he angles off, he can have his hands down or gets clipped. He's very heavy on his front leg. I feel Perez is really going to beat his leg up. He struggled with the speed in his UFC career and getting tagged with straight shots. He was knocked out by Johnny Eduardo as well as Reneau Brow. He's had his jaw broken more than once. He's a sprawl and brawl guy. He uses wrestling to just keep the fight standing. He has a questionable chin, but he has big power in himself. He's a knockout artist for 135. He has 6 KO TKOs in his last 7 wins. 4 of his 5 wins in the UFC have been by TKO. He's 4-5 in his career in decisions, so not a great decision fighter. And Perez is someone with solid movement, isn't going to come forward recklessly and get clipped like Wineland's last 2 opponents. Perez could get the finish, but he's drawn into slow fights. I don't think Eddie will make him come out of first gear. He'll beat up Eddie's leg, land shots on the outside, not get hit, win a clear decision, and I'm very confident in that pick with Alejandro Perez. I think that, he's just at a very good spot in his career. He's trending upward, while Eddie Wineland, he hasn't fought in over a year. He's coming off a loss. He's lost 3 of his last 5 fights. And, his two of his last wins have been against a guy in Frankie Saenz who, was on a pretty big losing streak, lost 3 in a row. And then a guy in, Takei Mitsugaki who's not in the company anymore, so. But up next, we have a pretty good fight with Reneau against Cat Zingano. This is a very close fight. I was actually under the impression that I might bet Reneau here. I might be very confident in her, but after watching the tape, I wasn't as confident. I do think it's a very close fight. Reneau is very close to her title shot. And with the win here, she could possibly earn that shot. She's unbeaten in her last 4 fights, and she's finished 3 of 4 of those fights. And between me and you, man, she's on a 5-fight winning streak. She got a draw against Betts. She clearly won. And a robbery loss to Ashley Evans-Smith. And for Cat Zingano, Cat has been the opposite side of the coin. She hasn't won a fight since 2014. Lost 3 consecutive fights, along with a ton of inactivity in between. And she's been fighting the best girls in the division, though, and has a harder schedule than Marion. 5 of Cat's last 6 opponents have won or competed for the UFC title, and the one that hasn't is the current number 1 contender, Ketlin Vieira. And Marion Reneau is awesome, man. She's 41 years old, she's a teacher, and she's still out there killing it. She's been able to train full-time for this camp since she's not teaching for the summer. Should be even more prepared than she's been in the past. She used to be a very good athlete, be light on her feet, move very well. She still is, but her explosiveness and speed seems to have slowed just a bit. People seem to be able to close the distance and lunge forward with punches to explode with a shot to catch her at times or take her down, especially early in the fight. She seems to start slow, but once she gets warmed up, she starts to turn it on. She's a great jab, right-hand combination, throws solid leg kicks as well. She'll push the pace, bring the pressure. She could sting you with the right hand. She's a good grappler, jiu-jitsu black belt. Her wrestling is suspect, though. She can get taken down very easily. She was taken down even by Betts Correa a couple times. But her arm bars, her sweeps, triangles are very dangerous. She's gotten McMahon in her last fight in a triangle, got Jessica Andrade in a triangle. She has 4 UFC finishes. She gets mean and she'll close the show if she sees an opening. She gets sweeps, has constant non-stop ground and pound. And in the clinch, she has great knees and elbows. She has good cardio. She brings it every time. She's been on the bad end of a lot of poor decisions, in my opinion, like I said. I thought she beat Betts Correa. I thought she beat Ashley Evans-Smith. I feel her only true loss was a close decision to Holly Holm. She's tough. She'll persevere, push through adversity, proving that losing that first round, she proved that against Sarah McMahon. She probably was down 10-8 in that first round. Came back to win the fight in round 2. She has very strong third round. She almost finished Betts Correa in round 3, finished Dudieva and Bernardo in round 3. And she should be filled with confidence coming off the biggest win of her career, getting a chance to finally catapult into title contention or at least a number 1 contender fight. And Cat Zingano is looking to right the ship here. She's going to be the bigger, stronger, more explosive girl in my opinion, but really relies so heavily on that in her fights. Her striking from the outside is very bad. She just lunges in with big wide hooks, face first, or will throw unset up body and leg kicks. When she does that, you can time and land straight punches. She doesn't move her head. She's extremely aggressive because she knows at range. She's very vulnerable. She'll just eat shots to bully and grab a hold of you. She has a solid chin. She's willing to take a lot of punishment to come back and get the win late in the fight. She can get in the clinch. She actually is dangerous there with strikes. She has big power. Throw 100% into nasty knees to the body. nasty shots to the head, big elbows. She'll throw hard uppercuts as well in the clinch. That was really the only success she found in her last fight against Vieira. I thought she lost that fight 30-27. She's strong. She can slam people in the clinch. Really nice belly-to-belly suplex. On top, she looks for a big ground and pound. She doesn't have great jiu-jitsu. And, sometimes she'll stay in positions where it's easy to reverse. And, she basically just gives up top position because she doesn't know that she can't stay in that position in jiu-jitsu. And, she does have a good mount. Also has nice elbows in her opponent's guard. This fight's going to come down to if Marion's going to be able to avoid the aggressive entries of Kat. I think she'll piece up Kat from the outside if this fight stays standing. And I could see her catching Kat with the straight right-handed rocking her. But if Marion gets on top, I think she's going to land hard grounded pound. She's going to be, able to do more damage than if Kat gets on top, potentially. But I do think that Kat does have that avenue to get the takedowns because Marion gets taken down by a lot of people, and Marion doesn't have a great get-up. She just looks for submissions. So Kat does the path to victory here with just getting takedown after takedown, banking the rounds, maybe getting finished by ground and pound. Who knows? But right now, I think Marion Reneau is the one that's trending upward, the one that's in the better spot. And due to that, and due to me just thinking it's a very close fight, I'm going to go with Marion Reneau to win by decision. I think she's going to be able to win 2 out of 3 rounds just by landing the bigger shots of the feet, not getting taken down. And if she does, maybe attack with submission, reversing position, getting on top and landing some damage. And I think that Marion Reneau is going to get the victory in that one. And up next, we have Chad Mendes against Miles Jury. And this is a very fun fight, man. I actually think that Chad Mendes is one of the better fighters of all time from 145, man. I mean, when you look at his wins over his career, he's beaten guys like Ricardo Lamas, Clay Guida, Darren Elkins, Cub Swanson, Eric Koch, Steven Seiler, Ronnie Yaya. I mean, he just has beaten a lot of big names. He's had wars with Jose Aldo, arguably won that second fight against Aldo. Had a very, I went back and watched that fight with him versus McGregor earlier today, and to be honest, man, he's extremely explosive. I mean, the way that he comes in, where he either comes in, goes for the double, or comes in and shoots the overhand right, is very tricky, hard to read. And when he lands that overhand right, man, he could put you to sleep with it. You've seen him put a lot of guys to sleep with that overhand right, especially in the UFC. He had a big streak where he went on about 3 or 4 straight KOs. And, he has a very nice uppercut the same way, because those Team Alpha Male guys kind of run into their overhands and run into their uppercuts like if they're going to shoot a takedown with a double leg. And Chad Mendes has such a nasty double leg, so fast, and his hands are so fast as well with his explosive entries that, he just catches people cold when they think he's either going to take him down, he'll catch him with the overhand right or the uppercut, or he'll just take people down at will, man, and he has great takedowns. On top, has great elbows, controls position. He'll attack the guillotine. And, he's just a beast, man. I mean, the speed of his entries and the speed of his punches, especially that straight right hand, that left hook, just extremely fast. I mean, he's one of the fastest guys in the UFC, in my opinion. For Miles Jury, I think Miles Jury is very good. He's going to have a big reach advantage in this fight. And that's how he's going to have to play it, man. He's going to have to stay on his bike, stay moving, not let Chad Mendes get inside, throw a lot of front kicks to the body, kind of keep that same style that Conor McGregor tried to use against Chad Mendes, where a lot of straight punches, a lot of front kicks to the body, and just try to keep his distance, not let Chad Mendes get inside, land his shots, not let Chad Mendes get the takedowns, and but Miles Jury, he has good straight punches, nice front kicks to the body. He actually has a lot of the tools that you need to potentially beat a guy like Chad Mendes. Good takedowns as well, nice body locks, decent shots to the outside, good timing. He'll, on top, go for submissions. He's a pretty good jiu-jitsu game. He was able to show that. He landed some pretty slick sweeps against Rick Glenn when Rick Glenn was going for takedowns. And, I just think that he just kind of fights at half speed, though. He's never really turns it up. You saw that against Daud Cerrone. You see that in his other fights where, he kind of can get lulled into a slow-paced fight. And, I do think he has pretty good pop in his hands, but I wouldn't say he has big knockout power. a lot of the guys that he's finished, are guys that are a little bit chinny, like he finished Mike De La Torre, taking a lot of damage in his career if you ever seen him fight, just got KO'd on a Combate Americas card, actually, Mike De La Torre did, so. And then, he TKO'd Takanori Gomi. Everyone knows about Gomi's chin. Ramsey Nijum, very chinny guy. So, his knockouts, are a little bit suspect because he's fighting against chinny guys, and he is, like I said, he's a winner. He's someone that is pretty good, but I just think he fights at half speed. I think that Chad Mendes, man, if he comes in anything like he used to, he's going to smoke this guy. I think he's going to knock him out in the first round if he comes in like he used to, but that's what makes this fight so interesting because he's been off for 3.5 years, right? He had the USADA suspension for the psoriasis cream, and, it's Team Alpha Male against Team Alliance. Very good camps. They've had that rivalry for a long time. And people are thinking Chad Mendes doesn't have a chin, but I disagree with that, man. When you go back and see that shot that Frankie Edgar landed on him, that was a clean shot right across the chin. I mean, that would knock out anyone. I think that would have knocked out Chad Mendes, in his prime. He was kind of in his prime when he left, but I think that, like I'm saying, that could knock out Chad Mendes if he didn't have that knockout against Aldo before, or against McGregor before. But he has been in a lot of wars. It's something to look at, for sure, but, I think Chad Mendes is just too good for this guy, man. I think Chad Mendes is too fast, too explosive. And I think he's going to dust Miles Jury in the first round. I think he's going to catch him with either an uppercut, overhand right, get the knockout in round one. And, pretty confident of that pick. But like I said, there's a lot of variables there. And up next, you have Zach Ottow against Sage Northcutt. And, Sage Northcutt's coming back up to 170. I don't really know why. He's 2-0 since moving to Team Alpha Male, but 0-2 at 170. And, he looks to have been making some improvements, though. And 5-0 at 155, 0-2 at 170. So no idea why he's coming up to 170 again. But Zach Otto's returning after a nice first round TKO of Mike Pyle. Zach Otto's a bit underrated in my opinion. He's a big welterweight, solid athlete, former college football player. He's been training at the MMA lab for this camp. Solid, well-rounded game. He has a good jab, throws nice hard leg kicks, nice straight punches. He'll attack the body with the round kick. He's accurate, pretty fluid with his punches. He landed a nice overhand right in his last fight that dropped Mike Pyle clean. He's good at switching stances, being able to throw a nice jab from both stances. Nice short right hooks, has a decent power in his hands. Definitely enough to hurt Northcutt in my opinion. He's a solid overall grappler. He's just strong and does a good job of denying clinch takedown entries, but if you get in on his legs, you can get him down sometimes. He's a good ground game. Off of his back, he stays safe in the guard. It's hard to pass or do a ton of damage on him. Does a good job getting butterfly hooks, pushing you off, standing back up. Worked for arm bars and triangles. He was able to stand up off bottom against BJJ world champion Sergio Moraes and not get subbed or take a lot of damage. He can reverse, get top position where he looks to get take the back at the rear naked choke. He has a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's good cardio, nice point fighting, professional style. Overall, he has a good chin. Only being finished 2 times by TKO in 21 fights. Only has 3 TKOs, but he has 10 submission victories. And Sage Northcutt has looked improved since he was a Team Alpha Male, especially against Michel Quinones. I was very impressed with Sage in that fight. He showed some insane speed. Landing, a straight right hand, a nice kick to the body, extremely fast jab. He was putting it all together on the feet. He's at his best when you give him the space. He can gain confidence by starting to fake and feint on the outside, try to explode in with flashy combinations. He'll throw a fast side kick to the body. He really is at his best when you give him space, like I said. He'll throw some nice spinning wheel kicks to the head, but can get too predictable with spinning kicks and throw them too often. He has hard leg kicks, does a good job of throwing them at the end of his combination. Comes in and backs up in straight lines a lot. He can get caught with some straight punches. Doesn't react well to getting hit. He was dropped by Mickey Gall, dropped a couple times in his last fight against T-Ball Goatee. Doesn't like being pressured or hit, and will force wrestling shots because of it and tire himself out. He can land nice doubles, shows good athleticism on the entries. On top, he has solid ground and pound, but he isn't super dangerous off his back. He's definitely bad and seems to quit whenever you get him in a bad spot. He tapped out to a not fully locked in arm triangle against Brian Barberina and was tapped in very quickly against Mickey Gall. He isn't a big finisher, doesn't have big power yet. He has a questionable chin, questionable heart. Moving up to 170 for this fight, and like I said, not sure why. Zach Otto's a big welterweight. He has some power, has some grappling. You should be able to get inside, land a hard shot with north cut, make him want to shoot on him, and then get a finish. I think Otto will get a rear naked choke in round 2. And I don't know why Sage Northcutt keeps insisting on moving back up to 170. But up next you have Dennis Bermudez against Rick Glenn. This is an interesting fight. Rick Glenn came into the UFC, got a big-time victory, really looked good in his second fight after losing in the first fight to Evan Dunham, but that was a fight up a weight class on short notice, so can't take anything away from him there. And he's proved to be a tough guy. For Dennis Bermudez, Dennis Bermudez has been a long-time staple in the UFC, but falling on tough times, man. He's lost 3 in a row now, and this is a big fight for him. If he loses this fight, I think it could be done for him in the UFC, but he's a physical specimen, just a good athlete. He's good at blending the striking and wrestling game. Actually developed, a solid stand-up game. He has a powerful overhand right that could rock you. Combines that with the fast, hard kicks to the body, hard kicks to the legs. He'll fade a level change, come back over the top with the right hand. Very fast, explosive with his in and out movement. Relies on that, to hit you and not get hit. His grappling is very good. He's a relentless chain wrestler. If he can't take you down, he'll grind you against the fence. He does a good job of taking you down at the end of his striking combinations. He has good ground and pound. He'll cut you with elbows. Stays active on the ground. He's hard to get up from bottom on. He should have the major strength advantage in this matchup. He has solid jiu-jitsu. He does a good job getting advantageous submissions and defending submissions as well. He should win this fight, But he has a chin problem, man, and that's something that you can't overlook. But he has phenomenal cardio. Always comes in one in a fight. He's never going to, look for the way out. And, he's very similar in that way to Rick Glenn. I think Rick Glenn is a similar fighter, but I just don't know if Rick Glenn is just quite as athletic, or as powerful. But, it's going to be a fight to see as the more well-rounded skills, or maybe a little bit, better at a certain discipline, Because if Rick Glenn, he's a very good, well-rounded fighter. He's coming off the most impressive performance of his UFC career by far. Or actually, no, he's not. That was against Gavin Tucker. He's coming off that loss that he had to Miles Jury, where he kind of got dominated a little bit. And that actually kind of made me question, is where his athletic ceiling is. Because Miles Jury was kind of just able to really overwhelm him in all areas. But he had a very impressive performance against Gavin Tucker, like I said. When he switched camps to Team Alpha Male, he looked incredibly sharp. He had sharp straight punch combinations, was throwing a nice front kick to the body and to the head, very snappy with it. What was really impressive was his pace. He was able to keep that same pace the whole fight on Tucker, put him in the clinch, continuously get body lock takedowns, made him hold his weight, was beating on him, precise shots to the head, constant work, great body lock takedowns, awesome control on the ground. He's pretty long and tall, but, he's not going to have a big reach advantage against Dennis Bermudez. And I just think that he's going to have a big speed and power disadvantage. I think that they like to do the same things. They like to put their weight on each other. They like to do things like that, but I just think that, like I said, I think Dennis Bermudez is the level above in terms of athlete. And I think he's going to run away with the decision in that fight. I think that he's just much better. I think that he's a better fighter. And up next we have, the fight of the night, the main event. And Junior Dos Santos is making a return against Blagoy Ivanov. And I see a lot of guys on Blagoy Ivanov. And I don't know if that's just a straight fade on Junior or they really did tape. Because I'm kind of surprised by that, man. I think that this is a tailor-made matchup for Junior Dos Santos. I watched Blagoy's last fight against Paulo Alcantara. And, he seems like he's a plotter, likes to try to get inside, land hard hooks. Definitely has power. He's aggressive. He'll start to run you down if he thinks you're hurt, start to walk you down. And very aggressively if you start to lose, some steam. But, overall, I don't think that he has big, huge knockout power, huge concussive power, like one-shot power. And doesn't go for takedowns very often. It's not like he's a big-time takedown guy. And, like I said, he's really just looking to slowly plot inside and, catch someone with an overhand right or a big right hand. And, it's possible that he catches Junior, but, Junior that's a tailor-made guy for Junior. Someone that wants to plod forward, get hit by the jab. He's very heavy on his front leg. Junior will piece up his front leg. Junior has very clean boxing, very nice jab to the body. And I think that's going to be a very similar fight to the fight he had against Ben Rothwell. Ben Rothwell, in my opinion, is a more dangerous version of Blagoy Ivanov. He's more athletic. I think he's way bigger. Blagoy's kind of a small, short guy that tries to get inside, land big hooks, And that's really all he has, man. It's not like he's someone that has a lot of kicking game. He doesn't have a diverse striking game. And, I just think that Junior is just better everywhere. And I haven't seen Blagoy much on the ground. I know he's a judo guy. I know he's a submission artist, but not a submission artist, but he has some submissions on his record. But I just don't think he's going to take it to the ground against Junior. Junior has good takedown defense. He's hard to get in on the legs. I think he's going to be moving. I think he's going to be way too fast for Blagoy. He's going to stay on the outside. Pretty confident that pick, man. And I'm not going to put in my most confident pick of the prior of the week just solely because of the layoff. Junior does have a questionable chin, you could say. He just got finished 2 out of his 3 fights. 3 out of 5 fights he's actually gotten TKO'd. But, against Stipe, he was really hurting Stipe's leg. Had him, hurt. And he's also beaten Stipe and Ben Rothwell. And, 2 of his last 4 fights, he's lost to Alistair, lost to Stipe, beaten Ben Rothwell, and beaten Stipe. So he's fighting the best guys in the world, man. And Blagoy Ivanov, he's fighting guys like Kai Alcantara. He's fighting guys like, Sean Jordan, Josh Copeland, just lower level guys. He's 17-1, but his one loss is to Alexander Volkov, who's UFC fighter. His other wins, he's beaten some UFC cast-offs like LeVar Johnson. But, hasn't had a big-time win, Sean Jordan, but hasn't had a big-time win, like I said. And this is a huge step up for him. And I'm going to go with Junior Dos Santos in that one. And for the betting tips, guys, for the parlay of the week, I would say to go with, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say go with Alexander Volkanovski and Alejandro Perez. I know it's a little scary to bet against Darren Elkins, but I think Volkanovski is just better everywhere. I think he's going to have the, advantage. If he doesn't have a cardio problem, he's able to go all 3 rounds, and I think that's, usually Elkins' main advantage. If someone gets tired, like a Michael Johnson, like a Mirsad Bektic, you can tell Mirsad Bektic, like everyone says, not just me, that he puts himself in bad positions when he doesn't have to. He kind of goes into the clinch, things like that. I think Volkanovski would be much more professional and, just get it done. And I think Alejandro Perez, I think that he's just at a better point in his career than Eddie Wineland. He's actually going to be my most confident pick of the night here. I think that Eddie Wineland's kind of on his way out, kind of fighting for paychecks a little bit. And, he hasn't fought in over a year, like I said. And, in his last 5 fights, he's 2-3. And I just think that Alejandro Perez is just all the way up, man. I think that he looked very impressive in his last fight against Matthew Lopez. And that's what I'm going to roll with. I'm going to roll with Alejandro Perez. And, for some other things that I really like Jody Esquibel. I almost put her in the parlay as well. I think that should get it done by decision against Jessa Aguilar. I think Mark De La Rosa is a very good pick. I think you should look at Roddy Barcelos by TKO prop, man. That's probably going to be a very high number, and it's possible. I'm not going to say put a lot of money on that, but it's a possible scenario there. And, Jennifer Maia, Liz Carmouche, Jennifer Maia by decision there. I guess you could look and see what I don't think that taking a stab on Kat Zingano, if she's a big underdog, is a bad decision. And I think that Zach Ottow might be a good play, as well as Dance Bermudez and Junior Dos Santos. I think all 3 of those guys. But this is a trickier card, guys. I would be a little bit weary. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, guys. I'm trying to get up to, 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That's my goal. And really think I try to give you guys good content. Try to stay, active. Try to stay coming out every day, every Monday for you guys. So hope you guys appreciate it. Hope you guys subscribe, comment, like, subscribe, and tell me what you think. Do you guys think DC is the GOAT now, or do you guys think John Jones or someone else is the GOAT? Put that in the comments. Maybe we can get a discussion going. But thanks for listening once again. I'll see you guys next week.